Hey guys, it's Matt Aspland, and I'm sure you've heard of chatgpt. It's blowing up. If you haven't heard of it, chatgpt is an AI chatbot that seems to know everything there is to know about anything. For example, let's say I wanted a unique meal plan that I can't seem to find anywhere online, or I don't want to pay someone to create for me. ChatGPT can generate one for me at the click of a button, just like that. All I need to do is just ask it a question. For example, write me a meal plan that consists of sea fish but no egg. Just in case that's what you wanted to go for, again, ChatGPT will be able to do that for you. Now, one thing that really amazes me with ChatGPT is that it somehow knows how to write code in Unreal Engine. So as you know me, I'm a big user of Unreal, and I thought for a bit of fun, I'll see if ChatGPT also knows how to use it, and it turns out it does. So let's say we want to know how to sprint in Unreal. Now you could go and watch my video covering that with detailed explanations, or if you wanted a quick and dirty method of finding the answer, ChatGPT has you covered. All you need to do is say, how do I sprint in Unreal Engine 5? And it's going to tell you in depth how to do it. Now, this is still very early in development, so some things might be wrong here and there, but overall it's pretty accurate. Now, AI has been a controversial topic recently, especially in the creative industries, for example, AI generated art. But today I'm going to be showing you how you can utilize AI to enhance your own skill set and abilities. We're going to be working with AI rather than letting it replace us. So again, I know some people don't like AI in the creative industry, but there's no reason why we should not use it at all, just because at the moment it's maybe not where it should be. Everything starts out not great. We need to develop it and learn how to use it properly. But what I want to test today is how good this AI chatbot is going to be at helping us create a game. We'll be looking at generating ideas for the game, characters, mechanics, art style, concept art, names, and anything else you can think of that you'll be needing for your games. So let's start with the basics. We're going to need an idea for our game. So what I'm going to do is simply ask the AI to give me 10 game ideas. We'll get them, read them, and see if we like any. So if I were to write here, give me 10 game ideas, let's hit enter. Now that's very, very vague, so it might not come up with some great ones, so this is always better if you have a general idea of the base, but here we're going to have some. So sure, here are 10 game ideas, and you'll notice it's going to give us a lot here, so I'll wait for this to write them all out and then I'll read through them. So here we are, we've got a survival game set on a deserted island where players must gather resources, build shelter and fend off dangerous animals and weather while trying to find a way to escape. Sounds similar to The Forest or Stranded Deep, but there you have an idea. A cooperative puzzle game set in a haunted mansion where players must work together to uncover the mansion's secrets and escape before they're caught by the ghost within. A competitive strategy game set in a fantasy world where players must build and command armies, gather resources and defeat their opponents in epic battles. A role-playing game set in a post-apocalyptic world where players must scavenge for resources, build shelters and defend themselves against raiders and mutated creatures while trying to rebuild society. A sports management sim where players take on the role of a team owner or coach and must build a winning team through drafting players, setting strategies and making in-game decisions. A puzzle adventure game set in a dream world where players must explore surreal environments, solve puzzles and uncover the mystery of their own subconscious. A racing game set in a futuristic world where players can customize and race their own high-tech vehicles on a variety of tracks and terrain types. A farming sim where players must manage their own farm, plant and harvest crops, raise animals and sell their produce in order to build a successful and profitable operation. A puzzle platformer set in a magical forest where players must use their characters' abilities and the environment to solve challenges and uncover the forest's secrets. And finally, a city building sim where players must design and manage their own city, balancing the needs of the citizens with the demands of the industry and the environment. So those are 10 great game ideas there. Now some of them may sound similar to you because again, we didn't give it very specific, and obviously this is very general, some of these might already exist anyway, but we have 10 game ideas. So let's pick one we like. I like the idea of the first one, so a survival game set on a deserted island where players must gather resources, build shelter and fend off dangerous animals and weather while trying to find a way to escape. So what I'm going to do is write this down in a Google document which I have open so we can cover it at the end of the video. Now what I also want to do is I want to go a little bit more in depth on this idea. So now we've got a base idea, I'm going to be less vague and less generalized, so it'll come up with a more specific idea for us. And again, this is also where human creativity will come in play. It gives you this base idea and you can expand upon it. So let's say, give me a game idea about players on a deserted island trying to escape. So I kind of got their idea, made it a little bit more vague and simplistic and put it back in to see what it's going to come up with, and let's see what it gives us. Now we might prefer the first one it gave us, we might prefer this one, but let's see. So you're part of a group of survivors who have been stranded on a deserted island after a shipwreck. With limited resources and no way to call for help, you must work together to gather supplies, build shelter, and find a way to escape the island. The game would have a survival aspect where players must gather food and water, build shelters to protect themselves from the elements, and fend off dangerous animals that may roam the island. Players would also have to explore the island to find resources and uncover clues that could lead them to a way off the island. As you progress through the game, you would unlock new abilities and tools that would help you survive and escape the island. You might find a way to build a raft or repair a radio to call for help, for example. The game would have a sense of urgency as players would have to balance the need to gather resources and build shelter with the need to find a way off the island before supplies run out or the situation becomes dire. Players would have to work together and make strategic decisions in order to survive and escape the island. Do you focus on gathering food and water, or do you prioritize finding a way off the island? Do you split up to cover more ground, or stay together for safety? The choices you make would have consequences, and it would be up to you to lead your group to safety. Now that is very in-depth and sounds absolutely amazing. So the first kind of paragraph is maybe more of a description that you put on Steam, and the rest of it is more of what we wanted to hear. So this is a kind of overview of the game idea, and then this bit is more in-depth of what we want the game to be. Now I really like this, so I'm going to keep this as our game idea. So let me again copy and paste this onto my new Google Doc so we can review it at the end of the video, and also so I have notes for the rest of the suggestions which I want to put into the chatbot. So again, I'd recommend you do this as well. So now we've got our game idea, I want to then go into the art style next. So I'm going to create a new chat so I can keep these ideas here. So you can see I can come back into this and see all the different ideas we've got. Let's go into new chat, and what I'm going to do here is then write an art style. So again, I don't know what art style I want for this game, so let's ask the AI. What art style would fit a game about escaping a deserted island? Let's see what the AI has to say about this. So you can see how I'm kind of just inputting the answers it's already given us to continue expanding upon this idea. So there are many different art styles that could work for a game about escaping a deserted island, and the best one for your game would depend on the specific themes, tone, and atmosphere you want to create. Here are a few art styles that could work well for this type of game. Realistic. A realistic art style would aim to accurately depict the deserted island and its surroundings using detailed textures and realistic lighting to create a sense of immersion. This style could be well suited to a survival game that focuses on the challenges of living on the deserted island. Cartoonish. A more cartoonish art style could add a sense of whimsy and lightheartedness to the game and could work well for a more humorous or lighthearted take on the theme of escaping a deserted island. Hand-drawn. A hand-drawn art style could give the game a more personal and intimate feel and could be particularly well suited to a story-driven game that focuses on the emotional journey of the player character. Ultimately, the right art style for your game would depend on the specific vision you have for your game and the atmosphere and tone you want to create. Experiment with different styles and see what works best for your game. So again, you can see how it's giving us some really in-depth ideas. So not only is it giving us a different art style, but also a reason why that one would work best. And again, it's also kind of giving a more human touch of saying, really, it depends on what you want. Experiment with different things. I think the AI is great. Now, I think I'm going to go with realistic because that's also kind of what I had in mind anyway. I agree with what it said. I do think that for this type of game and the idea that we've got, realistic, I believe, would work best as well. Again, for like they said, for the immersion factor. So let's go with realistic. Let me once again just copy this down for our art style. Now let's think of some concept art. So I'm going to again create a new chat and let's get to it. So ChatGPT, please could you give me 5 concept art ideas about a shipwrecked player? The art style is realistic. So again, I'm bringing back in the shipwrecked part from the game idea that we originally got. So a stranded player struggling to stay afloat in rough, stormy seas with debris and flotsam from the shipwreck scattered around them. A player huddled on a small rocky outcropping, staring out at the vast expanse of the ocean as they try to figure out how to survive. A player scavenging through the wreckage of the ship, searching for any supplies or tools that might help them make it through the ordeal. A player building a makeshift shelter out of whatever materials they can find, including pieces of the ship, driftwood and palm fronds. A player signalling for help from a distant shore or passing vessel using a makeshift flag or mirror to catch the attention of rescuers. So this hasn't exactly given me what I wanted. Now I think that's probably just because I'm asking for something more visual out of a chatbot, so text-based AI, but we'll try again. So I need to be a little bit more specific with what I'm asking. So let's say instead, how would a character look that is stuck on a deserted island? The art style is realistic. This might be a little bit better because I'm more specifically saying what is the character going to look like instead of just general art ideas, because the first one kind of just gave me general art about the whole scene. This is more about the player. So a character who is stuck on a deserted island might have a sunburnt, tanned complexion from spending long periods of time in the sun. They might also have rough, calloused hands from manual labour and scavenging for resources. Depending on the length of time they have been stranded, they might have a long, unkempt hair and beard. They might be wearing tattered and worn clothing, or have fashioned makeshift clothing out of materials found on the island. They might also have scars or injuries from surviving in such a harsh environment. Overall, their appearance would likely reflect the challenges and hardships they have faced while being stranded on the island. Now you can tell this is a lot better for what we wanted. This is really going more in depth into what a player or a character is going to look like. So I think this is great. Now I really like this answer, however I'm going to try again. I want to see what else this will give us. So let's say you don't like any of the answers you've been given so far. What you can do is simply press regenerate responses, and it's going to do it again. The question will be asked to the AI once again, and it will spit out another answer for us. So let's see what this one is like. A character stuck on a deserted island might have a rugged and weathered appearance, with tanned skin, sun-bleached hair, and possibly some facial hair if they've been stranded for an extended period of time. They might be wearing tattered and worn clothing with patches or makeshift repairs made using materials found on the island. The character could have a look of determination and resilience, with a strong and capable demeanour despite their circumstances. Alternatively, they could appear more distressed and desperate, with a more haggard and vulnerable appearance. Overall, the appearance of a character stuck on a deserted island would depend on how they've adapted to their situation and how they have coped with the challenges they have faced. Now I really like this answer as well, and this one has kind of given us more options. So this could then open up the door into the character design changing throughout the game. Let's say the player plays it really safe, they don't experience any danger, they might be more calm. But if the player is going out and constantly fighting enemies or constantly dying, constantly drowning, whatever it is, they might appear more distressed. So this is again just open up more ideas for us to expand upon. It's not necessarily said this is what you should do, this is not what you shouldn't do, but it's then opened up the door for me to just think of different ideas, which again is why it's so powerful. So I'm going to go with this idea, and I'm going to write this in my concept art piece on my Google Docs. Now it's time to think about mechanics. So let's create a new chat once again. So ChatGPT, give me 10 mechanics for a game about trying to survive and escape a deserted island. Let's see what this is going to come up with. Don't know if this is too vague once again, but let's see. So we've got resource gathering. Players will need to gather resources such as food, water and materials in order to survive on the island. Crafting. Players will need to use the resources they gather to craft tools and equipment that will help them survive and explore the island. Exploration. Players will need to explore the island in order to find resources, discover new areas and uncover secrets that will help them escape. Building. Players will need to build shelters and other structures in order to protect themselves from the elements. And it's just crashed, so that's great. They seem like really good ideas that were coming through. Luckily I'm recording, so I would be able to see what they all are anyway. But let's try this again. I'm not sure why that happened, but they seem like some really good ideas. So this is definitely a good input that we're putting in here. I might, in actual fact, need to reset the whole thing. So let me just copy this. Oh no, they are coming up. So I think what this has done is it's just continued on from the last ones which we had. So I think it probably got up to about 7, and it's just continued on with these. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to input this in again and see if it works better this time. So we've got resource gathering again. We've got crafting again. This is great. It's continuing on with the same ones. And then we've got a network error again. So unless it's saying that's a mechanic it wants, I don't know. This isn't great because I'm trying to show off how good the bot is and it's just giving me network errors. So let's refresh the page and we'll try again. Although here we are, actually we can see them here. I refresh the page and they're all here. So we've got resource gathering, crafting, exploration, which I didn't finish saying, so players will need to explore the island in order to find resources, discover new areas, and uncover secrets that will help them escape. Building, players will need to build shelters and other structures in order to protect themselves from the elements and any dangers on the island. Survival, players will need to manage their hunger, thirst, and other needs in order to stay alive on the island. Combat, players may need to defend themselves against hostile creatures or other dangers on the island. Trading, players may be able to trade resources and items with other players or NPCs in order to get what they need to survive and escape the island. Navigation. Players will need to navigate the island using maps, compasses or other tools in order to find their way around and explore new areas. Puzzle solving. Players may need to solve puzzles or challenges in order to progress through the game or uncover secrets that will help them escape the island. And finally, story progression. Players may be able to unlock new areas, abilities, or story elements by completing quests or challenges as they try to survive and escape the island. So these are 10 amazing mechanics which I think would fit perfectly with the game that we're currently creating using this chatbot. So I'm again going to copy all of these and write them down on my Google Docs. Now the great thing with this as well is it's not just giving the mechanic, it's also actually writing a little bit about it as to what it's going to be more specifically and why it's important. Now if you know anything about GDDs, this is absolutely amazing and this is great for that. You're going to want to write down what you have as well as why it's important. Now we could go into as much detail as we wanted and get as much information as we wanted as well, but for now let's just stick with what we've got. We've got the basics, we've got a game idea which we've then also expanded upon, we've got an art style, we've got concept art for our main character, and we've got some mechanics. The final thing we need is a name. So for the final time, let's open up a new one, and ChatGPT, please could you write me 10 game names? The game is about escaping a deserted island. So let's see what this is going to give me. We got straight away here, it's loading very slowly, but here we go. Escape from Paradise Island, Survive and Thrive, Island Escape, Deserted Island Survival, Stranded on a Desert Island, Escape the Tropical Wilderness, Survive on the Lost Island, Flee the Forbidden Island, The Great Escape, Desert Island Edition, Escape from the Island of No Return. So some of these are pretty good, some of them aren't too great. For example, Stranded on a Desert Island, very straight to the point. But some of these are pretty good, so Escape from Paradise Island, Survive and Thrive, Island Escape, they're not too bad. I also like The Great Escape Desert Island Edition, because that kind of implies there's going to be more games, so you could maybe have this as a trilogy, or just as many as you want. So you could have the name of the game be The Great Escape Desert Island Edition, or The Great Escape Tropical Rainforest Edition. Anything you want, you could really just expand this and make as many games as you want. I don't really like any of these all that much, so I'm going to regenerate responses and see if we get any better ones. So we have Escape the Island, Deserted Island Escape, Island Survival, Stranded on a Desert Island, The Great Escape Deserted Island Edition, Survive in the Island, Escape from Paradise, Abandoned Island Escape, Marooned Escape from the Island, The Island Escape Challenge. So some of these are the same, the 10th one just sounds like a YouTube video, but I think I'm probably going to go with Marooned Escape from the Island. I think that one sounds the best out of the ones we've got. Now I could sit here all day, keep refreshing them or putting in different prompts, so I could change it to write me 10 game names. The game is about surviving on a deserted island. And you know what, actually, now that I've said that, I do want to give that one a quick go. So let's do that, and then we'll choose one. So write me 10 game names. The game is about surviving on a deserted island. Let's see what this one says instead. So we've got Survival Island, Deserted Island Survival, Island Life, Stranded, Survive the Island, The Great Survival Challenge Deserted Island Edition, Surviving the Wilderness Island Edition, Escape from Paradise Survival Edition, Abandoned Island Survival, Marooned Survive the Island, the Island Survival game. I think I actually quite like Island Life. So I was going to go with Marooned Escape from the Island, but I think I might actually change that to be Island Life. That one sounds quite nice, probably already a thing, but let's go with Island Life. So let me again write that one down. So now I think we've got everything we want. So again, we can go through these, regenerate them if we wanted. We've got our game ideas, and then also more specific, more detailed about that game idea itself. We've got the art style, we've got some concept art, we've got some mechanics, and we've got some name ideas. So now I think it's time to have a look at the game idea that ChatGPT has generated for us. So I'm not going to read absolutely all of this because you've heard me say it all already, but we can see that the game idea is a survival game set on a deserted island where players must gather resources, build shelter and fend off dangerous animals and weather while trying to find a way to escape. And then we've expanded upon that game idea massively to give us a lot more detail. We've got a realistic art style, and we've also got the concept art of the character having a weathered appearance, tanned skin, sun-bleached hair, and possibly some facial hair. And then again, we've got even more detail about that. And we've also got some mechanics, so we've got resource gathering, crafting, exploration, building, survival, combat, trading, navigation, and puzzle solving. And ultimately, this whole game is going to be called Island Life. Now, all of this that I've got on here is completely generated by an AI. I didn't do anything for this. Even the game idea itself, I didn't do that. I just said, give me some game ideas. We got that, we expanded upon it, and then we chose an art style best for it. All I did was give it a prompt based upon what it's already given me, and I just chose which ones I liked best. And this is where we could then take it to a human and say, expand upon this, make it better, make it your own, whatever it is. We've got an AI to do the basic bit for us, the hard part of actually initially coming up with it. Then we can let a human take over a creative brain and actually continue on with it. So in summary, we can see that ChatGPT, or AI in general, can be a very powerful tool in enhancing our creative side. Sometimes you just need to collaborate to exceed and go beyond your own skill set. Now obviously another human is still the best solution for creative endeavours in my opinion, but for quick ideas that you or someone else might not even think of, that you can expand upon, AI is definitely an amazing tool for that. Speaking of which, I believe this could be amazing for game jams where you need to think of an idea quickly based on a theme given. So for example, it's a 48-hour game jam, the theme has just been announced and it's giving, you could put it into the chat API, give me a game idea, the theme is giving. Now this is where you can enter the grey area, however, of is that cheating, is it unfair? I don't really know, I don't really have an opinion on that just yet, because again, on the one hand, it's just a little bit of fun, but on the other hand, it is also a competition about your game idea, you creating it in that short period of time. So I would say I wouldn't recommend doing it, just because again, it's meant to be a bit of fun, testing your own skill set. But let's say you're maybe entering a chatbot AI game jam where you're using the AI to create the game itself, then this is perfect. So the way I see it, we should be using AI as a more of a creative assistant than a full-on replacement. There's no reason why we should say no completely to AI, but we also shouldn't let it completely replace what we're doing. A good healthy balance is required, as with anything in life.